5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi, guys. Welcome to the podcast. Today, I'm very happy to have Stefani Webb with me from the University of Central Florida. Steffi, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks. I'm super happy to be on this podcast, and thank you for choosing me. And I'm super happy to talk about my college tennis journey so far.
Awesome. I know you've just come from the conference tournament last week. Talk to us a little bit about that experience. How did it all go? What was it like?
Yeah, obviously my first conference championship as a freshman. So I came in January, and all of these experiences that I'm currently facing are all new to me. But yeah, my first championships went pretty well. We made it to the final. Lost in the final, unfortunately, to a pretty good team. But yeah, no, it was all quite new to me, and obviously everyone was super excited to play. And, you know, we've worked so hard during this whole season, so all we wanted to do was get out and try our best and do the best we can. But I guess we just fell short, and we're just super happy to also have reached the NCAAs, which is kind of like next week. So yeah, just training super hard, practicing, and we hope the NCAAs will give us a good run.
Wow, congrats. Do you guys know who you're playing yet?
No, we don't know yet. I believe we know the draw on Monday,
Okay.
but I think we are either headed to Gainesville or North Carolina.
Awesome. You're going to love it. I only got to play in one NCAA tournament the whole time I was at college, but it was definitely a highlight. There's a lot more pressure. There's a lot more on the line. Just touching on that, how have you felt the transition into college from juniors in terms of pressure, in terms of performances? What are the big differences?
Yeah, honestly, like this was a big change for me. Obviously, when you're back home and you're not a part of a team kind of environment, and I'm just so used to working with a one-on-one coach who would travel with me and play specific tournaments, and now all of a sudden you're playing for something much bigger than yourself, and you know you're facing a group of 9 people, and you know you're all in it together, and kind of nothing is about you anymore. And I guess the biggest change for me was when I had played my first match, and there was a whole crowd, and you know there was girls who were on court 6 screaming for court 1 and cheering, and court 2 for court 4, and all this sort of stuff. So I guess I wasn't so adjusted to that yet. Obviously playing a normal match at an ITF level or something like that, there's everything is super quiet, but at this level there's just, you know, people are screaming and yelling and cheering, and there's just so much that you have to deal with on court while still trying to be focused. So I guess that for me was the biggest change. But yeah, look, I'm enjoying it. It's, you know, the team environment is just so good to be around, and, you know, all the girls have to be super supportive of each other. And because we all, you know, all of our wins combined, you know, that this means everything for the team. And, you know, if one loses, we all lose. And if one wins, we all win. So I guess, the more we push each other and the more we better ourselves, we hope to get some good results.
Wow, awesome insight. And for those that don't know, the UCF tennis teams actually play at the National Tennis Center in Orlando, which is a pretty big facility, and there's a lot of seating. When there's a crowd there, you really do feel the atmosphere. So that's a privilege in itself. But one thing I wanted to touch on was the difference between a team and an individual. When you're a junior, you have your own coach. You can sort of choose what you work on, when you work. I think you have a little bit more freedom. How was it adjusting? I know a lot of my recruits, that's something that they find difficult. How are the coaches at UCF? How's your experience been so far?
Yeah, I mean, first things first, obviously being with a coach one-on-one is much easier to work on something that you want to work on, and because all of their attention is focused on you. However, when I did come here, it's kind of like a group basis. So, if you need to work on something, kind of like everyone will work on it, or you do kind of like what the whole team does. And even in the gym, like you are probably used to getting your own program and what you need to work on, but the whole team kind of does the same workout and the same, gym kind of like method and training and practice kind of every day. And I guess when you're by yourself and with a coach or back home or playing tournaments, everything is on you and everything is so focused about you. And I guess you have more of that attention because it's one-on-one. But with a team environment, obviously there's 8 girls, so 2 coaches. Obviously, the attention's not always on you, but definitely, the coaches have been super helpful. There's Brian Konyetko, who is the head coach, and Lloyd Bruce Burgess, who's also our assistant coach. And they've been super good for me, super helpful. And honestly, like, it's good because we have our team practices in the morning and then we have an optional individual in the afternoon. So and we can get as many as we want. So, you have that team kind of aspect, but then also if you really need to work on something or you feel like something is missing from your game, you also have that option. But again, obviously juggling with school, and we have fitness every day now, that can get hard. And, my days don't finish until sometimes 6 p.m. Like, I'm starting my days at 6 a.m. and we have gym and then we practice and then we have, we've got to eat lunch and then we have class and then we're going back to practice and, everything's just so full on. But I guess you do get kind of in the routine, and once you're adjusted, everything kind of settles in quite nicely.
Not only that, you actually miss it when you finish. I can tell you that right now. That was my favorite part of the college experience was, I would leave my apartment at sometimes I would leave as early as 7 a.m. and I wouldn't be back until 7 p.m. And just having a whole full day and getting into bed in the evening and being like, wow, like I really achieved a lot today, in my sport, in the classroom, socially. It's an amazing experience in that sense. I think the other great thing about working in a team is that you can also learn from your fellow teammates.
Right.
What are some things that you've learned from them in your first year in college?
I guess, well, as a team, we're pretty close. So if one has a flaw, then none of us are shy to, kind of say what's wrong and, to tell one another that you need to do better and this is why. And I think that's a really good aspect to have because, if something needs to be changed, then it needs to be changed and nothing can be kind of, covered or forgotten about. We deal with it then and there. And I guess my 2 captains, one's a 5th-year senior and another one's a senior, so they're about to graduate. But I guess they're both super strong and they're super resilient, and they have kind of taught me how to be so determined and to push through everything, because obviously days are really long and some days you kind of feel like you need a break or you need to give up or something like that. And they've kind of said, well, hey, look, you need to push through and this is for the team, and like you need to look for something beyond yourself. And I guess that's what has made me push even further and push my limits even further. And, they obviously being here for 5 years kind of teaches you time management and really just practicing and just at your very best every single day. And it's day in, day out. And, we get 1 day rest per week. And when you're in season, you have matches and, sometimes 3 or 4 matches back to back, and you're traveling and you need to catch a flight and then the next day you're playing. So I guess they've just taught me how to be super resilient and just understand, certain aspects of college and obviously the difficult moments that can arise and how to deal with them better.
Love it. And I think a lot of people probably thought that you might have just gone straight professional after finishing your juniors career. I'd love to just talk a little bit about your decision process in making the choice to come to college. What were some of the defining factors on going to college in general, and then why UCF?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I didn't want to go to college about 2 years ago. I told my parents, look, I'm not going to college. I want to go straight onto the pro circuit. And at this stage, I was only 15 or 14. And they said, well, look, hey, you don't have to go to college, but we still want you to do the subjects that'll enable you to go to college. And in 2 or 3 years' time, when you do graduate, you can make that decision. And obviously now I thank them because they made me pick subjects that would, make me eligible to come to college. And, there's just so many players, especially from Australia, because we're so far away from everyone else. And we kind of find ourselves in a bubble a lot of the time, and we're playing the same people over and over again, and the same tournaments and the same, even practice. It's just a constant repetitive thing. And I guess you're not playing players from all over the world because we're so isolated. So I think for me, coming to college, I get to play with many different girls. I mean, I have girls who, there's a girl on my team from Russia, there's a girl on my team from India, then I have a couple of Americans, then I have a German. So honestly, we're practicing with girls from all over the world. And I guess for me, I came here and to UCF because I really liked the coaches. And I think that's a big part of college tennis is you have to like your coaches, and you have to, kind of have that bond with them. And, if you don't have that, then I guess that's the main part. You want to better your tennis. This is why you came here. And I guess there are just so many, because it's just so hard to get onto the pro tour these days. And I guess everything is so unknown, and I'm only 18 years old. So to make such a big decision so early on in your life, it's super hard to make. And at this age, you kind of still feel lost and you still don't know where you want to go. And I guess, coming to college, you are in a team and people are so supportive because obviously tennis, it's you and yourself only. But not only that, it's just, traveling, the expenses, or if you don't have no funding from, like an association or an organization there, it's just so hard to do it by yourself. And if you want a coach there, with you, obviously you need someone there if you want to better your tennis. Doing it by yourself is almost impossible, and I guess having someone there, obviously everything costs money. And if you're flying and you have accommodation and food, it all accumulates. And I guess that puts pressure on you to do well at such tournaments and to make, what you spend. Plus, if you want profit and you want this to be your job. So everything is so unknown. And I guess so many players are coming to college now because, you get really good match play. You're on a scholarship, so you do get funding, and everything is, paid for, and you better yourself. And then when you get to that 4-year period and you're like, okay, look, I can go pro now, I feel ready, or maybe not, this is enough for me, and this was my career, and I'm proud that I made it to college. And, especially a Division I college, like it's one of the biggest achievements considered in the US. So, it's really good for me. And so far I'm enjoying it. I mean, I've currently been injured, so I haven't been playing for 4 weeks, but as a freshman, playing at number 2 and sometimes playing at number 1 has been really good and really challenging. And obviously, coming very, very close to beating a lot of the top girls in college has been, super exciting. And I can't wait for my sophomore year.
Yeah, it's been really exciting for me to follow your progress. And it is a massive achievement to play at number 1 and to be playing majority of your matches at number 2 in your first year. And anything can happen. You're 100% right. 4 years at an institution like UCF, and you can really develop into a circuit level player. There's no doubt about that. But you have traveled on your own before, and you told me a little bit before the podcast about your times traveling as a junior by yourself. how's it been different from how you've adapted to college in the US?
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, I've just traveled with myself and my dad, and it's just been us two. So it's obviously very lonely, and I guess you have to manage a lot of things by yourself. And I guess when you come to college, it's, you have so many girls who you travel with and you have so much fun with. And I guess, yeah, we go super hard on the tennis court, but then you also have that time out where you're like, hey, we're catching a flight. And, there's just so many fun times, even at the airport or the hotel that we're staying at or something like that. Whereas when you're by yourself, it's the same excitement. It's just not, with so many people. And I guess with the girls that are here, we're super close. And obviously, they've become friends and family to me. So it's something that I've enjoyed a lot. And obviously, when you travel by yourself, you have no friends who come with you all the way from Australia. So I guess when you have those group of people, who travel with you, it just makes it, a more enjoyable experience, I guess. But yeah.
Totally. And I just want to know what are you studying and how are your courses going so far?
So I am currently studying sports psychology, and my courses, honestly, like freshman year has been okay. Like I remember when I finished year 12 last year, I didn't want to look at the school books for a whole year. I didn't want to touch them. I didn't want to, I was so excited to finish my last exam that, I had nothing left to give for school after doing 14 years. And I guess I was super excited to just have that time where I could just focus on my tennis because last year was super consumed by school. And, I think I played something like 8 to 10 tournaments for the whole year. So, my parents were like, Steph, you've done 13 years of school. This is your last year. Kind of make it count. And I guess for the Aussie listeners, they would know about scored and unscored programs. And obviously my parents were like, well, yeah, we do want you to do scored because you've worked so hard all these years and we kind of don't want that to go to waste. And so I did that. And I didn't want to I remember my last exam, I didn't even study for it. My mind was telling me to study, but I was just like, I just couldn't physically get to my table anymore.
There was nothing left in the tank.
But yeah, there was just nothing left. And so my freshman year, so far, because it's obviously, almost coming to an end, but, school has been fine. It's been good to adjust to. So many kids in Australia have to do a compulsory of 6 subjects, but it's not like that here. You kind of have, I'm currently taking 4 subjects and they're general courses, minor, biology, chemistry, and psychology, and a theatre. So it's, some are easier than others. Obviously, the 3 subjects that are most hard is obviously psych, bio, and chem. But yeah, so far it's been quite okay, and obviously I would for sure say if it was hard or not. But even for me, it's quite easy. And I guess there's 3 subjects that I'm taking online. One is a mixed mode, so I could go in class or do it online. But yeah, so it's just super convenient having to do 1 class online and then 3 others. 1 class in person and 3 others online, because I guess you can just work at your own pace and kind of get ahead or stay back if you need. But you have that kind of flexibility. I guess if I had 4 subjects that were in person, it would be a much different scenario. I'd be missing a lot more classes and because of practice. And then, you have tutoring. So you have all the help that you can get to kind of succeed, not only on the tennis court, but kind of with, your education and your major that you choose.
Right. And last question. If you could give any advice, we've covered a lot of it so far, but if you could give one little bit of gold to maybe someone who's back in Australia, who's kind of thinking about college and they're not quite sure, what would it be?
So honestly, I was in these same shoes about 6 months ago. I didn't know if I wanted to go to college. I was kind of in that kind of mixed headspace. And honestly, I would say take your opportunity and grab it with both hands. And at the end of the day, if you don't like it, you can always stop and you can do something else. But once that opportunity is gone, you can't take it back. And as much as you would have wanted it to, it just won't happen. So, as soon as you finish school, you're only for about a year. So you really need to make a decision. But, if you try it, there's nothing you can kind of lose. Everything is to gain. And if you don't like it, you can always say, hey, look, I tried it. It wasn't for me. So I look for another option or another route. But at the end of the day, I'm almost certain that, 80% of people like it. And, it just becomes a new kind of lifestyle. And obviously you're halfway around the world, so you're seeing new places and, you're meeting new people and friends and this sort of stuff. So at the end of the day, it would be considered a missed opportunity if you don't try. Yeah.
Wise words. Stefani, thank you so much. I'd love to have you back on the podcast in another year just to do another update and see how things are going. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that have taken at least one thing from this conversation that we've had. So thank you so much.
Yeah. No, thank you.